What is up, everybody? Skratch coming up with another Raid Shadow Legends video. In today's video, guys, we have Chester here on the channel, a good friend of mine, and we're gonna talk about Live Arena. And guess what? Yes, I've heard your comments. Skratch, where is the Live Arena content? Well, here we are, guys. Live Arena is not open at the moment, but what we're gonna do instead is we're gonna make a tier list for all the Nukers that are in the game. We might miss one or two. Forgive us if we do. Mention it in the comments down below so we kind of like know what's happening. But Chester, what's up, brother? Glad to have you on the channel. How is it going?
So happy to be here, my brother. Yeah, that's amazing. The tier list, I think it's needed. Like, it's something that a lot of people struggle with. So I think that's the perfect video for it.
Yeah, 100%. Like, the main thing that people struggle with is banning the champions, picking the right teams to go against their opponent. You know, I feel like that's kind of like what makes a lot of people to lose their fight in Live Arena. Of course, when you are picking your Nukers, guys, it's very situational about like what team you're fighting, what other champions you have in your team. You gotta think about everything. So Live Arena really requires a bit of brain work. You know, you gotta think before you're picking all the champions. Guys, I'm gonna link Chester's channel in the pinned comment, so make sure you guys head over and check him out. He drops tons of content about Arena and many other things. So if you wanna find out all that juicy stuff, head over to his channel and drop a subscribe. Basically, what we're gonna do, guys, like in school right here, we have all these champions on the list. You see lots of mini avatars, and we're gonna drag them up on the tier list. We're gonna discuss a bit kind of like why we think that some of these champions are the best or are weaker than they are in Classic Arena, for example, because it's a massive difference, don't you think so?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, there are so many Nukers nowadays. You know, a lot of people getting confused on who to pick. So many are in the vault and stuff like that. I think the list is gonna help a lot.
Yeah, definitely. That's kind of like what we're hoping. I'm planning to put it on the website as well, aftershockunited.gg. Make sure you guys go check it out. So basically, we're going to start with the S tiers. I feel like it's definitely pretty clear on some particular champions. Some of them are kind of like fluctuating from being at the top and going a bit lower, comparing it with Classic Arena. So we're going to start with the very first champion, which I gotta say, it really stepped up it's in Live Arena. What do you think about Harima? I know you don't have her on your account, but don't you think like from Classic Arena it came all the way bang to the top of the sky with Live Arena?
Exactly, because I don't have her. She's like my most hated champion right now. She's amazing. She provides so much. You can use Harima and you can provoke that is even with the block debuffs. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. She's so good. The only issue I see is that in order to deal enough damage, she needs a defense up. So you need to pair him with someone like Sifi, for example.
Yeah, 100%. And it's just the damage mitigation. And I've seen recently most of the people, they just start banning my Harima all the time when I'm using her. They're like, no, I'm not having that. Yeah. You know, I'm not having that. She's just a very powerful
because
champion.
a lot of people used Baron for so long, and the Baron is pretty much useless against him.
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah, it's crazy how the wheels spin with Baron, for example, in Live Arena. What do you think would be the second champion to go as S tier from all the list here?
I mean, we can go with Taras if you want. I think he's amazing. Or Georgid. Actually, let's go with Georgid because he can ignore the stone skin and everything.
Georgid is powerful too. Yeah, 100%. He's nasty.
He's super strong. Yeah, exactly.
Even if you lock him, like with the Warlord or something like that, the A1 is so powerful in terms of the damage, you know, and especially if it procs a bit of a RNG and he gets the extra hits with the A1, my God, he can actually be super nasty. Yeah.
I know, especially if he has attack buff.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And then we have, of course, no one else but Mr. Taras. Guys, it's not really like we're ranking them 1 to 100 or anything like that. You might see multiple one of them in the S tier. It doesn't mean that necessarily this is the order number 1, 2, 3, and 4, you know? We are going to see who's S tier, who's A, and stuff like that. But Taras, again...
Yeah, keep it a little bit more simple.
Yeah, exactly, because then it gets very complicated with all of them, and there's so many champions. It's gonna be very situational. That's the whole idea, you know, like in some situations Harima is better, in other situations Georgid is better, in other situations Rotos is better, for example. So a lot of things can change, of course. But Taras, so very, very powerful. It's kind of like the new powerhouse added to the game together with Marichka as a couple. They're very powerful. And at the moment, I think they are dominating Live Arena, right? Marichka, Taras, they're pretty much in most of the top teams.
I think, yes, those two, Marichka, not Marichka, but Harima and Taras, I think those two are the most used damage dealers in Live Arena at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. Like, they are my most used damage dealers as well. So,
you see, exactly.
Yeah, I'm one of those guys, like, oh, damn, I don't want to fight these champions.
Why not? Since you have them, why not use them?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. So, next, I feel like Rotos as well is a very good example.
For me, Rotos is my favorite champion, for example. There is no way I'm not picking Rotos. Unless they pick UDK very early, and then I know that he's the biggest counter to Rotos. So
yeah,
maybe then I don't choose,
Usually, if I have Rotos on my team and they bring UDK, I'm just... Because what they're planning to do, when you see that, guys, so kind of like a quick tip, when you see that, they're planning to kind of like counter your Rotos. So what they're going to do, they're going to ban your other Nuker, they're going to leave Rotos and their UDK. I always ban their UDK, even if they have a locker, even if they have something else, I don't care. I ban that UDK because I know my Rotos, even if he's locked out, he's going to be able to recover with A1, the extra turn. And that's the main beauty about Rotos. He has all that ability to recover and the passive to keep him alive. That's why he's so freaking powerful.
His cooldowns is so short, so especially the A2. If you get one extra turn, then you have A2 available. That's insane. You gain more HP, which means more damage to him and more survivability.
Definitely agree. Then I feel like Candrophone is a very good candidate as well as an S tier, for the simple fact that he has the Veil, is able to kind of like hide himself a bit, stay alive longer, and even if he gets locked, right, the A1 deals tons of damage, he brings his own increased attack. Just generally, I feel like Candrophone is definitely very strong for this particular sort of content, depending on, of course, what team you're fighting and stuff, but still very strong, I think.
Yeah, and for the current meta, let's mention that his A1 hits super strong, and because we don't have any debuffers at the moment, he always gets to hit twice, which is
pretty much
massive. Yeah, it's massive.
Massive win. Then I think Leorius, he deserves to be there as well, just for the simple fact that he has the AoEs. He does bring some utility as well in terms of being immune to crowd control debuffs. Then he has the unkillable buff when he gets low on HP. So a very, very strong candidate to use in there, because a lot of people will use Nukers, right? Because we were going to mention this a bit later in the video, but a lot of these Nukers needs to be kept alive. So you're going to see everybody at the top is going to use Necret Nuker, because you need to keep them alive. Well, some of these champions, they have the beauty of staying alive alone, having that extra thing in their kit that allows them to stay alive. That's why they're so important, some of these champions, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's why they are in the S tier category.
Exactly, 100%. And I feel like we do have another S tier on the list, and some people, they might overlook her, and that's Valkyrie. Like, Valkyrie, again, similar with Harima, she does need the defense up to deal the damage. Like, an attack Nuker will need the increased attack, but she brings the utility as well. So just bringing multiple things to the fight is gonna be huge. Getting the counter attack, the shield, just to annoy the opponent. I feel like Valkyrie, she deserves to be an S tier as well in here. What do you think?
And the meter manipulation, if you can give her a little bit of accuracy, it makes a huge difference, because I think in Live Arena the speed meta is coming back, in my opinion.
100%, because you just overlap. Like I lost a few fights in the beta, and mainly was because my champions were too slow for Classic Arena, and I was getting overlapped, and I was like, that's it, this doesn't work here anymore. I gotta change my builds. I gotta change my builds for Live Arena, because it just seems like I'm constantly getting overlapped, and it was definitely not a good thing, Good, so I feel like S tier is pretty sorted, man. Like, I don't think I would put anyone else on S tier. Like, even Baron is very powerful, guys, but I feel like without Necret, he's just not gonna be picked. Like, I've done quite a few fights, and I don't think I've seen anyone picking Baron. I don't think I've seen anyone, honestly.
Exactly. Like we said like a few minutes ago, Baron needs protection, so you have to pair him with someone like Nex or Tassis, something to make him stay alive and actually get a turn, basically.
Yeah, 100%. Then we're gonna move over to the A tier, guys, and I think I would place Baron in the A tier, even though he doesn't get picked as much. If you have the right team and if you are able to kind of like protect him in a way or another, and you're gonna have to protect pretty much most of the Nukers that are coming from the A tier down, you know, so the field is gonna get more even, and the lower we get on the grade, the more even is gonna get with the field, you know. But I feel like, yeah, having Baron as an A tier is definitely the right choice. Tons of damage, you know, so he still brings quite a bit of good stuff with his kit, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I think Ramandu should not be overlooked as well, and
100%.
he deserves an A tier.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, the block passive that provides, and he can also deal some damage if you actually give him damage here. To be honest, I have tried him and I was impressed with the damage.
That's the main thing. Like I said it even on the first day of Live Arena when I started streaming it. I was like, guys, don't overlook Ramantu, because what's gonna happen? People, they're gonna ban your other nuker thinking that haha, you have no nuker, and then you come in with Ramantu as a surprise. You're gonna bring the debuffs with 200-300 accuracy, right? That's gonna lock their nukers and it's gonna lock their low accuracy champions, and then you're gonna get to deal the damage with Ramantu and be like, wow, I just wrecked this guy because he kind of like underestimated my team, you know. So Ramantu is definitely a very solid option. And on the A tier, we're gonna put quite a few champions that you might not see ranked so high in Classic Arena because of polymorph and you wanna drop different things, but champions that do bring some utility next to the damage, because once you kind of like put the top champions on, what's gonna be left is mainly damage with the rest of the champions. So we're gonna have to kind of like take in consideration everything that will benefit your team, because a lot of times you're gonna find opponents without polymorph, and we're not doing this tier list only for the very top 20 people, which are gonna use Harima and Taras all the time anyway, and they don't care about the rest of the champions, you know. So this is mainly to pretty much help all of you guys and understand how to pick your champions a bit better in Live Arena, you know.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
What should we put next on A, Chester?
Oh, for sure. I would say Ronda is one of the best, just because she's also a big counter to Harima, I feel like, with her A2 blocking the passive on Harima, and then your second damage dealer can actually finish the job, because without her passive, Harima can take, the whole team can take so much damage, the enemy team.
Yeah, 100%. It is a massive difference, right? And Ronda on her own, she might not be the best damage dealer out there, but she will clean it up slowly, you know. Even if she just takes them one by one, the A2 hits pretty good, and ignoring a bit of shield, ignoring a bit of defense, which is definitely very, very nice. What should we put?
And don't forget about the A1. You can proc by if someone
in your corner. Yeah,
I think it's the passive, right? Like 50% chance.
Yeah,
go with the A1.
Yeah. That's actually pretty good as well. Good call out on it. The next champion, what do you think we should put on?
I would say we can put someone that is more defense-based. I feel like we kind of lack on them, so I would say Torm is a very good candidate there.
I like Tormin too.
Yeah, if the enemy has a booster and he doesn't have a CV, he can do he can bring so much utility to your team.
Yeah, like
freeze and everything. Yeah.
I said it the other day as well. I really want to build my Tormin to go against teams with double Taras. Like, I know most of them, they will bring in Siphi as well. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave their Marichka on and ban their Siphi instead. And they're gonna get so much turn meter from Tarasis. Because that's my main issue. When you go against double Taras, it's kind of like 95% chance that you're going to lose that fight. Mainly because they overlap you so much. They're so broken. When Marichka ally attacks, both of them, they join in the attack, which I feel like is so broken. But having Tormin in there with his passive just to piss them all off with the Thermiter, I feel like he's gonna be brilliant. I cannot wait to actually try it. I haven't encountered nobody with the double Taras since the beta, but definitely looking forward to try it out.
For sure.
I think Ragash is a good option in here as well. just because he's a defense-based champion. He does bring some nice things with his kit, right? Like a bit of crowd control. We have the veil from him.
He has
damage.
the defense down as well.
Yeah.
You can deal some extra damage, which is amazing for sure. Yeah,
And
he's a defense base, so he survives a little bit easier than the rest of the damage dealers that the damage is based off attack. He's a little bit more tanky basically. So
100%. I definitely think like he's in a good spot there. Soulless, for example, I feel like he should be in here too. We have the shield
amazing.
From...
The shield is massive. The shield he can gain is super good.
Definitely a very solid damage too if you have the defense up on him.
Yeah. I mean, I have seen Rotosys cannot kill Soulless because he gains so much shield with his A3. I think is the skill.
But the A3.
Because everyone was using him in Classic Arena, and now everyone forgets about him because I think because you don't use him in Classic Arena anymore, you can actually build him a little bit fast, and that will help you a lot for life.
100%, yeah. And some utility champions, I feel like they deserve the spot to be in here. Like, for example, this is gonna be a surprise to a lot of you guys, but I can guarantee you that he's extremely annoying. And again, when you're going in a Classic Arena fight, you pick whatever champions you have. You have absolutely zero restrictions. So it's much easier to take one of the best Nukers, go in, clean the fight, go out and be like, yeah, I'm not going to use freaking Yakarl in there because I don't need him. I have a Baron to do the job, right? I don't need nothing else because nobody can ban your champions. But when you are going in live arena, a lot of people will kind of like focus to ban the strongest champion that you have in your team, and having a champion like Yakarl, I feel like he's definitely A tier, mainly because of all the freezes that he brings. He does good damage as well. Get him to like 300 accuracy. Most of the people, they don't run resistance champions. And you're gonna clap tons and tons of enemies. 100%. You just gotta make sure you are banning their block debuff champion. What do you think about Yakarl, Chester?
Oh, he is amazing. I actually lost the fight because of him, because of all the freezes he was putting my champions on. And slowly but surely he managed to beat me.
Yeah, I had a similar experience as well. Actually, it was pretty strong. Then of course we have other.
Since we mentioning the freeze champions, I'd say Gorgo is amazing. To go alongside with Yakarl.
Yeah, I feel like Gorgo and even Ray as well. Let me drag her up too. It's just that they're bringing freeze, they're removing buffs. They're dealing damage as well, and how I mentioned, it's much better to have utility on your team as well here next to the damage. Of course, if you're encountering a team with polymorph, you're not gonna pick one of these champions. You're gonna dodge it and pick somebody else that doesn't bring all the debuffs. But if you don't encounter polymorph, these champions might be the key to ensure your victory, in my opinion. I think, yeah.
Definitely. I think so as well. I mean, I wasn't expecting to use to lose against Yakarl, but there it is. It happened. It surprised me.
Yeah. It's actually pretty crazy. Moving over to B tier, I feel like we are pretty spot on with the A tier. Like, I don't think I would necessarily place anyone on the A tier. Just for damage, the field gets more even from here on. Yes, some of them deal more damage than the others, but again, you need to either keep them alive, they need to bring something else to the team as well to justify it,
Yeah, also the multipliers really matter,
Like, a lot of people might be like, Skratch, Tranda is not even A tier. She's kind of like a -A in my opinion, a B+. I would personally put her on B. I wouldn't put her on A, and that's because so many other champions cut on her, and it's the affinity that matters, and pretty much everything else, So let's just start and put Turvold, for example, on B. I love Turvold, don't get me wrong, guys. I'm using Turvold, but without Necret, I cannot use Turvold, So you need Necret to use Turvold, kind of.
He's so squeezy. I guess every attack-based champion, they are all of them squeezy. Maybe Tranda, to be fair, she's not that squeezy. She has a very good base stats.
Maybe we put Tranda on A. What do you think? Just because she's tankier, easier to keep her alive, I guess. and
Yeah,
good
I
damage.
guess let's go with that. Of course, I mean she has pretty good multipliers as well. So maybe
Absolutely.
she deserves an A.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she deserves it. Randa, you're gonna get the A, baby. You're gonna get the A.
exactly.
Even though I haven't used you in ages and many people didn't, but you're still amazing for a lot of other people. So stay there as one of the queens, you know.
OGs.
Yeah, one of the
Yeah,
OGs. So Turvold on B tier. Hard to keep alive without accurate, but deals insane damage. So if you have one and you are able to kind of like use a team to protect him, my god, he is an absolute beast. Like, I'm using him quite a bit, but if they ban my accurate, I'm getting worried because it's gonna be pretty much game over with Turvold. Haprak, what do you think about Haprak? You think Haprak deserves to be in the B tier?
definitely. Especially if you have him and you can use him in Stone Skin. Maybe the enemy team kills someone else first, and he can do his ability, and then you can do it again when you get the turn.
Yeah,
You
that's
can have like a double nuke basically, which is pretty strong. His multipliers are very solid as well. The only problem I see is if the enemy has a bolster set, then you have a little bit of trouble.
I was gonna say, like, I love Haprak. The reason why he's not ranked higher than this is because if the enemy has a bolster set, you don't manage to put increased attack on him, the passive is gonna hit once, nothing is gonna happen, and it's very likely that something might happen to you. Either you're gonna get locked, either he might die, and you need to increase your attack in order to come again to hit it. But again, if you hit the bolster, even with your second AoE when you're using it, another passive, you're still gonna be in the same spot. You're not gonna get a double hit from it's conditional, you know, basically.
Yeah, that's a problem with conditional abilities. Basically, you need to hit the condition in order to hit hard.
Yeah. Then moving over to the next one. What do you think about Blood Twin in Nitwi? I feel like he is upping up his game a bit. The multipliers are still not amazing on his AoE, but being able to block revive with every single skill and just having that A2, which is a triple hit, being able to pretty much delete everyone from the game with that one hit, I feel like it's giving you a massive advantage because you're not going to be able to revive that champion after, no?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you have an Ethuway and you like him, you can avoid banning all the supports of the enemy or the revivers and stuff, and focus with Ethui killing all the damage dealers. And from now on, you kind of win the fight. But it may take some time. But as long as you win, I think that's the important part.
100%. I feel like it's pretty much the same situation there. Then I feel like Staltus, for example, another decent nuker too. He deals pretty good damage, interesting passive, and he brings his own increased defense, easier to keep alive. I feel like he definitely deserves to be a B tier 2 for this sort of content. Pretty solid champion, actually, man.
Pretty solid, exactly. I never used him before. I recently used him in Dragons on the new dungeons, and yeah, I was really impressed with him. When I get the second one, and maybe I can use him in live arena for some fun. To be honest.
Yeah, I'm using him in the Dragon too. I managed to pull a second one, so I'm kind of like waiting to see what I'm gonna do with the second one. I haven't empowered the first one or anything yet. Mishinaki, we had Mishinaki on the Summon Rush, almost like a guaranteed. Now he brings quite a bit of damage as well, defense-based champion, and he brings tons of different things with his kit as well, which can provide you utility and. Yeah, I feel like he's definitely worthy of the B tier in my opinion. What do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely. Especially the A3, I really like it because you can remove all the buffs. You place the hex, and maybe you can pair him with someone who does extra damage with a hex ability. You know, like Cleopteryx. I think she does extra damage with hex, and a few other champions. You know, so maybe you can. He is definitely there just because he has the A3 and he can remove all the buffs. I think he deserves B tier for sure.
Yeah, and he can smack actually. He deals good damage. Some of you guys might think of him more of a PvE champion. I don't disagree. He's very great, very strong in PvE, but he is pretty good for PvP as well. You know. Then, moving over to the next champion, I feel like Yannicka is a very good contender for B tier. I see a lot of people using Yannicka that don't have the very top nukers, and I feel like she performs pretty well. You know, like the single hit, being able to kill somebody without the extra turn, then making your skills all AoE, ignore the shield, bolster is everywhere. I feel like Kianika is definitely a pretty solid nuker too. Huh?
For sure, exactly. Just she also puts a veil on herself if she crits,
Yeah,
and yeah, that's also gives her survivability.
100%. Yeah, definitely. Very solid champion. What do you think about Hegemon? Does Hegemon deserve
I
the B
think,
tier?
yeah, definitely. Just because you're getting the first turn, it's massive. Maybe if the enemy doesn't have bolster, you can take out his nukers pretty fast, and then he's forced to use the revive early. And, maybe you can pair him with Lydia, and you block the revive and stuff. I think he fall out of the meta a long time ago in Classic Arena, but I believe he will come back, especially when we hit the gold tier. To be honest.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he'll definitely make a pretty good comeback. Then we have another champion actually that I do think it deserves to be in here, and that's Shemnant. Again, strips buffs, deals pretty good damage. Does a lot of other things too. So I feel like as she deserves to be a B tier in here. What do you think about Shemnant?
Yeah, I think the multipliers are actually pretty
they are
close
pretty
to Trump
good
as well. Yeah, they are pretty good.
100%. So I feel like I would add another champion on this, and that's gonna be an epic, and it will be a surprise to a lot of you guys. And I'm not talking about Gala long braids. I'm actually talking about Alika. A lot of people are sleeping on this champion so much, man. But what you guys don't know is that she has a A2 skill that ignores defense. It has a multiplier of 6.3, so the damage will be absolutely insane. And with the A3, she increases the cooldown of skills. So if you give her a bit of
By
accuracy,
by two turns actually, which is pretty good. It's like she's like a mini warlord, and I think she recently got buffed. She wasn't like this
yeah, she
before.
used to do it for one turn, I think, and then they made it to 2 turns with the A3. But the damage, man, like so many people don't know how hard she actually hits, and just bringing a bit of extra utility, give her 250, 300 accuracies, enough just to lock the nukers, just to annoy the opponent and kind of like get the upper hand. I feel like she's definitely gonna be pretty juicy on here, in my opinion.
Definitely, yeah. Like I said before, I think I'm gonna actually have to build a Lika, but yeah, I don't really like epics that much because I'm
You can empower them. That's the problem. Yeah, that's the
you
problem.
can't exactly. I prefer to use legendaries, but that's like a whale problem. So
Yeah, I know it's kind of like a well problem, but hey, we gotta give options to all the people, and if some of the epics they really deserve to be there, is definitely
for sure. I agree with you
rated.
100%.
And even Gala long braids, I feel like she definitely deserves a B tier in my opinion, just because of the extra turns, the ignore defense, and yeah, it is
And
harder to keep her alive, but being void as
she's
well.
an auto skiller as well.
Yeah,
She's a
100%.
auto-skiller.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
let's go with a B tier on Gal as well. So two
Yeah.
epics on
Two
the
epic-
big tier.
Yeah, I feel like they definitely deserve the spot, man. Like they're pretty
Definitely.
good champions, and they do bring quite a few other things to the table. Moving over to the C tier, guys. I feel like that's pretty spot on. Yes, you might see some Void Legendaries not carrying it on, and you're gonna kind of like get to understand it later on. But how I mentioned, there are different situations where a B tier champion might be weaker than a F tier champion, for example, which it can happen every now and then, situational. So C tier.
Yeah, exactly.
What should we put on C tier?
I think the recently buffed champion Errol.
Yeah,
he
they
does
did actually.
pretty decent damage actually. Yeah, I hope that he was doing a little bit more ignoring defense, but even like he's right now, I think he's pretty decent.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like he's pretty spot on actually, man. Errol as a champion now, decent damage. I think Eilil, even though he doesn't necessarily bring the craziest damage, he just being a bit more unique as a champion, the ignore stone skin and being able to play stone skin on himself if he kills somebody, removes all the buffs with the A1, and I feel like he's definitely a C champion in my opinion. Yeah, I wouldn't rate him higher. I wouldn't rate him higher, but
he doesn't do that much damage. That's why he doesn't do that much damage. But
Yeah.
he has a lot of utilities.
yeah, that's the thing. Like comparing it with the Ray, for example, like Ray brings a lot of damage in as well, so it's easier to clean up next to the utility. She might not be so in the meta in Classic Arena, but for live arena, I feel like I would pick Ray over Eilil 95% of the times, in my opinion. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Then I feel like another champion for C should be Aitos. We do have the AoE attacks. The A1 is very, very nice. He's pretty good. If you're gaining extra turns, he's nice as well to deal some nice damage. But I feel like he's not more than a C tier in my opinion as a champion. And he's never been, man.
Yeah.
Like, he's great for PvE, for campaign farmer and stuff like this. But for arena, I feel like there are quite a few things that he's not really doing right, you know.
Exactly. So many nukers nowadays, they ignore shields, they ignore defense, they ignore a lot of stuff. But Ethos doesn't ignore anything, and he doesn't give you anything. He doesn't provide anything else other than damage. So.
Then the next one will be Krutraxa, in my opinion. You do get the
sure.
extra turn. She deals a lot of damage. She does ignore some defense, so I feel like Krutraxa is definitely a C plus in my opinion. Yeah.
Yes, he's another roto skiller. Yeah, so she can also hit pretty hard with the A1. So pretty much, even if you get locked out, you can do a lot of work with her. Yeah. Maybe you can pair him with someone with ally attack.
Yeah, that's the thing, and again, it's a bit harder to keep all of these nukers alive, but she has the revive on that on herself as well. It doesn't really do much if you revive her. She has no turn meter after, so it's easy to clean her up. But kind of like just to get an idea. The next one on the list, I feel like Supreme Elhain, decent, not amazing multipliers. She just does some ignore this and that with her skill and then the AoE, but I just don't think she deserves more than a C in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think either. I haven't even tried her yet, but yeah, that's because like many other Nukers, she doesn't provide too much.
100%, yeah, she's not strong enough. Then I feel like Little Miss Annie, she hits very hard, but that's about it. You know, I wish she would have a block revive on a couple of skills, man. That would be absolutely amazing. Exactly what she would need to kind of like be at the top, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But the damage that she does is crazy.
Foley, another good example as well. You have the passive with the crowd control, getting the thermometer, being able to block or revive. I feel like it definitely deserves a C. 100%.
Keep in mind, guys, that the passive of Foley is pretty good against Sifi, because Sifi cannot sleep him the first time. So yeah, it gives you a lot of advantage. You can actually get it then even if you are slower.
Yeah, the only problem is if you're hitting if you're gonna hit on a bolster or stuff like this, it's not really gonna do the job, but you might be able to hit their nuker, for example, you know, and kind of like end their nuker. That could possibly be a pretty good option as well. What other champion?
Bolster is actually meta at the moment, so everyone is trying to use one bolster set in every team.
What other champion would you put here?
I think we should go with Masaled actually.
Mashald?
I think he can be pretty decent, I believe. Because he gives you the leads. Maybe you can survive a little bit longer. You can strip the buffs from the enemy damage dealer. You can take the attack, and then you don't have to worry about hitting them too hard. I think he's good.
100%. I would put in here Hundig as well, honestly. I like him quite a bit. The A1 being able to kill somebody and getting the cooldown of the A3 and going back in action with an AoE attack. I find it pretty powerful and definitely great in the current meta. He doesn't bring the craziest damage, but he can still do some serious work in the right setup, I think. Yeah.
Exactly. Mountain King is also pretty nice in my opinion, just because he can actually deal damage, and like we said with bolster before, you can give him bolster set. He brings survivability to your whole team.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that, and a lot of times he's gonna be able to take a hit, especially if you have a reaction on him. Is gonna be great as a champion. HP based. He has a very, very high attack, so that's definitely very useful for the champion. Talking about that, I feel like as an epic, Magnar is definitely up there too. The double hit from the A2, the A1, the A3, fairly decent damage. Stays alive. He doesn't need increased attack or increased defense. You cannot empower him, same like the other epics, but I feel like it's pretty good damage, you know, on the AoE.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of people were using him in Classic Arena at one point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's really strong. Since we are going with the epics, I'd say Skullcrown can be there as well.
Yeah.
She's like a mini Leorius, to be honest, just because she has the passive with the Unkillable, but she can be CC, that's the problem. But still, like, she's an epic, Leorius is a legendary, so...
Yeah, of course, but she's definitely deserving the C tier to 2 AoEs, pretty good damage as well from the A2, Void Affinity, and the passive. I feel like, yeah, she's a pretty good C on the list here, you know, in my opinion. Then I feel like Bigan should kind of like be around this place as well. It does bring some crowd control, but the main thing that is lacking from him is the damage. He does have 3 AoE attacks potentially with the A1, but he doesn't do that much damage. So I feel like just for the debuffs that he brings, the thermiter manipulation, decreased speed, that can come in handy as well with a bit of accuracy, you know. So I feel like he deserves it.
Exactly. A lot of people in live arena, they don't try to win quickly but safely. So
exactly.
Maybe the utility that brings and the crowd control helps you to achieve that.
Astrolon. I feel like Astrolon is a pretty good option too. The stun.
Yeah, of course. The stun, especially, he is a good counter against the Dutchies as well. So
yeah, with what he does, he ignores.
He removes the veil.
He removes the veil, exactly.
And he can place the stun.
That's nice actually, and there are a lot of Duchesses in arena, so you're gonna
Exactly.
find quite a few. I think like Cleopteryx, she has 2 AoEs. She brings her own increased crit rate, increased crit damage. The passive that allows her to counter attack. I feel like she deals pretty good damage too, and I think she deserves to be in the C spot too. And she's free. A lot of people can actually put their hands on her, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I have a +2 one. I kind of want to build her and try her out just for fun.
Do we have anyone else to go on
maybe,
on the C?
Maybe I would say Ken Boys actually deserve the C tier just because he can ignore the Unkillable, and you know a lot of people using Leorius at the moment in live arena.
Yeah.
You proc his passive basically. You ignore his passive.
Yeah, I think
nice.
that's a good call. Yeah, I like Gambo quite a bit as well, and I feel like we are pretty good with a C tier. What about?
Yeah, that was a lot of them actually.
Yeah, quite a few. Huh? What about D tier, man? Are we gonna be the C tier with the D tier? What do we have for the D tier? What would be the first champion you would place in there?
I would say Cupidus, just because if you cannot pair him with Venus, it's a
game over.
Yeah.
I definitely agree on that. Cupidus without Venus is no more. There are no more lovebirds. Yeah, I would put in there as well Vlad, Constantine. Together they're fairly nice. Blocking the revive is great. They deal fairly good damage. Vlad, he got a buff a while ago. He brings some thermiter manipulation and other things. Constantine brings pretty good damage on his own. And
they also block a revive on specific
together,
on specific
factions. Specific factions. So that's pretty nice as well from them too. What other champions would you put in here?
I would say we can place here Fusan. He has the stun and he also has the speed aura, which is something nice. You kind of need the speed aura because sometimes they ban the champion with your speed aura.
100%. Yeah, I definitely agree on that. I've just seen that we have 2 Fushans on the list. I think it just got bugged or something. Okay, I think what else I would put in here. Talking about some of the epics, I think I would put a Phoenix in here, man. Like Phoenix the A1 is nasty, and the A1
It's nasty, yeah.
yeah, you do need to kind of like keep him alive and stuff, but I feel like he can do some serious work, you know.
He can do but he needs a debuff on the enemy to
That's
do
for
the
the
double
second hit, yeah, for the
Yeah.
double hit. But even with one hit and an ally attack or something, an increased attack, he surprisingly is gonna do a lot of damage.
For sure. For an epic, he's impressive.
100%. Would you put any other epic in here?
Samal for sure.
Yeah.
He's yeah, he should be there as well.
Mm.
The A2 is very strong and can help you with Taras.
Taras,
if the
yeah.
enemy team has a Taras, yeah. He removes the fears, which can be handy.
Yeah,
you don't want to add more RNG to the fight, basically. So.
Yeah, he deals very, very good damage. I feel like, because we are talking about epics, I feel like Dark Elhain deserves the spot in there. Immune to the freeze, giving her the extra turn, buffing herself, dealing pretty good damage. So I feel like for an epic, yeah, she deserves to be in the D tier, in my opinion.
Definitely.
What other champions? Abyss. I feel like she definitely deserves the D. Double AoE. The A3 kind of like works a bit different based on the attack, based on the stats
Enemies
of the
attack,
champions.
Yeah, she basically takes the highest stat bonus and uses that as her multiplier.
Which is nice, yeah, 100%. Should we put any other champion in here? What do you think about Ruel the Huntmaster, for example? Or we have Royal Huntsman, Bloodgorged. These champions...
All of them, yeah, even Bracus, because he can survive one time, you are guaranteed to hit at least once.
Yeah, and especially that he comes back to life once he's being killed, I think is definitely nice. And the same with Bloodgorge, Royal Huntsman, they snipe, they have that very powerful single target hit. Bloodgorge blocks the revive, increases the cooldown of the skills with the A2, which is...
even though that this skill doesn't do that much damage, but it's nice. It's handy to reduce the cooldown on the enemies.
100%. Should we put any other champion in here? Like, what do you think about, for example, we have Ignatius, we have Karato. You think they
Yeah, I think both of them deserve to be there. Ignatius is pretty tanky. He does decent with the multipliers, but he cannot compare with Solus, for example.
Yeah,
Solus
gives
you the provokes, gives you the big shield on him. So yeah,
they're definitely very, very different. Yeah. So in terms of F tier, I feel like moving to the F tier is gonna be pretty important. We do have a few more champions in here, kind of like Natril, which brings Termiter, Manipulation, the stun. So maybe he deserves to be a D actually before we move over. What do you think about him? Huh?
Yeah, especially the Termiter Manipulation is pretty nice. I mean, the stun, maybe they have block debuffs, but for sure the Termiter helps a lot.
Good, so I feel like we are ready to move to F tier, and I'm gonna put there Mortu Macab. And Chester, you wanna explain why Mortu from S tier fell all the way down to F tier in Live Arena?
So in Classic Arena, because you are fighting an AI, they're gonna hit. Mortu will actually get hit by the enemy team, maybe from Kaimars that do AoEs and stuff like that. But because now you're fighting a real person, they know that they don't want to hit Mortu because you can proc his passive. So basically, they will just ignore Mortu, and that makes him useless pretty much.
100%. And the next thing that I want to mention, bomb champions. What do we think about bomb champions for Live Arena? How are we feeling about that? I feel like they're super easy to counter by just dropping in a cleanser. If you don't bring them in an increased accuracy and the enemy has resistance, they're kind of like the bolster set and everything else with them.
I don't think the bomb champions work on Live Arena just because you said so. You can bring someone with block debuffs, or you can bring a cleanser like Mithrala. There is no way any bomb champion can actually place bombs with the accuracy needed for Mithrala.
100%. I'm definitely feeling that. And then, of course, we have a few champions left in here. We have Xavier. Great AoE attacks. She can block revive too. Squishy champion.
Affinity is not that good though.
Affinity is not that good.
Yeah,
and
doesn't help.
yeah, she doesn't really bring that much. But if you don't have other options, she's good. The multipliers are decent, are not amazing. So that's, I feel like she definitely doesn't deserve more than an F. But if you have her and you don't have any of the top champions, keep an eye on her. It's definitely worth thinking about using her, you know. Saito, fairly decent as well. Single hit, then becomes AoE. I feel like...
But they need to be like 4 enemies alive in order to become AoE, right?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Robert also, he belongs in F tier just because he has conditions to do
extra
a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's a red affinity, which is the problem against statuses and stuff like that. So he cannot kill people like this. So if the enemy has statuses, there is no way you can actually manage to kill her with Robber.
Yeah, like you need pretty good RNG on your side to don't weak hit, and it's very conditional with some of these champions, you know. So that's kind of like the main thing. Saito, you could maybe argue it in a way that he might be a D tier, honestly, but I feel like the multipliers are decent on that skill, but not that amazing. He doesn't really ignore the right things. He needs to build up kind of like his thing to do the damage. Basilius Ronas. Yes, a lot of people are using him to kill Rotos, or they used to before Ronda came out. He's great for that particular skill that does multi-hits, but the AoE skill is absolutely rubbish. The damage is very weak. Force affinity as well. Yes, he does provide you a stun, but I feel like the damage is so underwhelming on the other skill that is very, very easy to keep your team alive and slowly pick their team with Basilius and kill them, you know.
Yeah, let's go with Coroner now. I think Coroner is a nice champion, brings utility, but the damage he does is like minimal.
Yeah, that's the thing.
No damage at all.
Yeah, it's great to go against teams that are kind of like rubbish, where they don't have good stats, they don't have shield, and you're gonna just bully like easy teams. But on a proper team, Coroner doesn't.
It's more like of a stall champion. You don't count on him to kill anyone.
Yeah, just to annoy, you know, just to slowly pick them down. Then we have Princess Garreg. Oh, I almost moved it in C tier. Come down here, Princess Garreg or King Garreg. He got buffed. He's still not that amazing, so I don't.
Exactly.
I wouldn't put him higher than F tier, but as an option, you can make it work. He's kind of like intended for longer fights. He might see a bit of light with Live Arena, honestly. It might be a bit better than expected, but I guess we're gonna have to see that later on if I'll have to revisit this champion. We've done Fushan, and of course we have Quintus, which is the last champion. Now, the reason why we are not ranking Quintus as S tier or A tier is because we haven't used him yet. His kit sounds amazing, fairly decent multipliers, but till we are not able to test the champion, I feel like it's better if we refrain from ranking him on the tier list so we don't misjudge anything and we kind of like see him in action and kind of like what he really provides. That was
of course.
gone.
When you do that, then he's gonna be added in the tier list, and they can check him on the website.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we're definitely gonna update that once we have the champion on. But guys, that was pretty much everything for the Live Arena Nukers tier list. If we missed any champions, we do apologize. There are lots of champions to keep track on, and I try to do my best to pretty much select all of them. Let us know in the comments down below if you think something different about some of these champions. You might swap some of them around, and yeah, we're gonna consider to have a better look at it as well. But Chester, a pleasure to have you on the channel. Make sure you guys head over and check him out.
Thank you for having me, brother. Yeah, I really appreciate it, and I hope we do things like that more often in the future.
Absolutely. We're gonna do one for support champions as well, maybe one for teams, guys, so definitely keep an eye open for that as well. But that was all for this video. Much love, appreciate all of you guys watching, and I'll catch you all soon in the next one. Peace.
All right,